So unit 10 honestly should be the easiest of all the units that you had this school year. But you're literally dealing with concepts that you've already learned back in 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Slash things that you can easily put together if you know how to do some basic computation. So we're looking at basic stats and probability. So basic statistics is basically mean, median, mode, and range. Mean, median, mode, and range. So it's not as if you haven't heard these before. It's all about, I probably need to remind myself what they are. Yeah, you probably have. You smile on your face when you saw those. On your desk. Oh, it's so sweet. So let's first go over what they meant. What each part means. Mean is an average. Median is the middle number. Mode is the data value that occurs the most. And range is the difference between the highest and the lowest values. Difference between the highest and the lowest values. So, in solving these problems, we're going to find mean, median, mode, and range. We're going to go through all of the steps by looking at example 1. If example 1 looks familiar, it's because that was one of the extra credit problems on your test. This was the one of the 2 extra credit problems on your test. The number of pieces of candy and 9 bags of M&Ms given below in the table. So here's each bag. There's the number of pieces. We're going to calculate the mean, median, mode, and range. So in the extra credit, it just asks you for the mean, median, and the mode. So let's start with the mean. So find the mean, add all the data values, and divide by the number of values in the set. So there's all the data values. So for the mean, that means you take all those numbers and you add them up. Now that calculator, add them up. First, gotta add all those up. So, what do we get when we add those up? The number in the 2s. Here's 252. So 252. So you add them all up, and then you divide by the number of values you have. So 252 divided by 9, because there were 9 bags. So
28.
Is 28. So on average, there are 28 pieces of candy in each bag. There are 28 pieces of candy in each bag of M&Ms. That's how you find the mean. Take all the numbers and add them up. Divide by the number you had. If you are at home, I don't care how easy you think this is. it's probably the easier stuff that you make more mistakes on because you get a little bit overconfident and cocky. So make sure you do the work. Don't get overconfident and cocky on this stuff, and it's supposed to be the easiest. So, median. So, median. List all the values in order from least to greatest. So we do put all the numbers in order from least to greatest. So for median, always start by putting the numbers in order from least to greatest. So my smallest number is 24. 24, then there were two 26s. There were 1, 2, 3 27s. There were 30, 32, and 33. Once you have them in order, cross out the numbers on each end until you get to the middle. So your middle number was 27. So your median is 27. Any questions before we continue? All right. Mode. Mode. Step 1, identify the number that shows up the most. If 2 or more numbers show up multiple times, then write them all as modes. So that's what you do if there is a tie. So if there's 3 numbers that show up 4 times each, that's a tie. They all go as modes. So 24 you saw once, 26 twice, 27 3 times, 30 once, 32 once, 33 once. What number showed up the most? 27. It showed up 3 times. You don't have to tell me how many times it showed up. I put that because someone's going to ask, why is that the mode? Last one is the range. The range, subtract the largest and smallest data value. So the largest number was 33, and the smallest one was 24. 9. So you're not going to have any more than 20. Not going to have any more than 33. Not going to have any less than 24. So you have a range of 9. So that's mean, median, mode, and range. That does a couple two that which they did the extra credit. Any questions? Example 1. Yeah, those who go at home, if you have questions, make sure you ask. I should be taking notes of your notes. All right, example 2. A concession stand worker kept track of the number of bags of popcorn sold during the baseball game. So, in this table, so we have a bar graph. You have your days, and you have the number of bags of popcorn. So I'm going to blow this up for those people who are at home. So that means Sunday, bars up here. That means there were 4 sold on Sunday. There were 8 sold on Monday. There were 5 sold on Tuesday. And you can count the rest. We're going to find the mean, median, mode, and range. So, mean is add up and then divide by the number of days. Add them up, divide by the number of days. So we got a 4, 8, 5. Wednesday there were 9. Thursday there was 3. And Friday there was 7. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. So if we add up the top, what do we get? 36. So 36 divided by 6, 6 bags. 6 bags is your average. If you have questions, get yourself off of mute, ask a question. Don't assume that it's easy, make sure that it's easy. All right, so median. So before we find the median, what do we have to do first? Put them from least to greatest. That's the biggest mistake people make. That's the biggest mistake people make. They don't put them in order first. And then they wonder why they got it wrong. We have a 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. So now you start crossing on. You got 2 numbers in the middle. Got 2 numbers in the middle. If you get 2 numbers in the middle, you add them up and then divide by 2. So your median is 6. Median is 6. Mode. So 3 showed up once, 4 showed up once, once. So is there anything that stood out over anything else? No, nothing repeated. So if there is no repeat, if there are no repeats, then put none. Do not put 0. Don't put the number 0. Because if you put 0, then you're telling me that 0 was sitting up there. I don't see a 0 up there. So don't make that mistake. If there is no mode, write none. The last part is the range. So the highest value was 9. The lowest value was 3. 9 minus 3, last time I checked, is 6. There's your mean, median, mode, and range. Any questions on example 2? Now, in terms of showing your work, if someone's going to ask when they take their test next week, how do I show work for this? Right there. Here's what you do to show your work. What I did, you can do. If my 37-year-old arm can do it, your 14, 15, 16, 18-year-old arm can do it. If my arm can do it, your arm can do it. Any questions before we continue? Yeah, this is one part that's on your test next week. Any test that you should get an A on, it should be this one. All right. Probability. So just so you know, as we're looking in terms of the actual homework assignment, we're looking in terms of IXLs. We've already done the work for the IXLs DD1 and DD2. We've already taken care of that. We now have examples to use for that. In fact, example 2 came from the IXL. All I did was copy the picture. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to show up again, but. So, probability. So, probability is the chances of something happening. The chances that something will happen. So, for example, if you watch the weather to figure out what you're going to wear, and they tell you there's going to be a 30% chance that it's going to rain, 30% is a probability. That means it's a 30% chance it's going to rain. It's a 70% chance that it's not. So, probability, chances something happens. So the probability can either be 0, that means it's impossible. It's never going to happen. To 1, that means it's absolutely going to happen. It's either never going to happen, it's going to happen, or it's somewhere in between. So to find the probability of something, you take the number of times the event occurs, divide it by the total number of times it happens. So that's how you find probability. So your probability, always a fraction. Probability is always a fraction, unless the answer is 0 or 1. So it's always a fraction, unless the answer is 0 or 1. So the only thing you really have to do is to READ, 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 and read. Example 3. In a classroom, there are 6 students with A's, 5 with B's, 4 with C's, 4 each with C's and D's, and 3 F's. Find each probability. So, based off of what they said in the problem, 6 with A's, 5 with B's, 4 each with C's and D's. That means there's 4 C's, 4 D's, and 3 F's. So that's what you have. Find the probability that a student chosen has an A. So we have the number of A's divided by the the total number of students. So, there's 6 A's. How many students? There's more than 6.
Oh,
There's 6 A's.
Oh, we have to count everything.
So the total number means you gotta go and add up all the numbers.
22? Yes.
So there are 22 total students. So 6 over 22, can you reduce that?
There's gonna be a death.
So there's nothing that divides out of 6 and 22?
2.
Divide by 2. No, you can't give your answer as a decimal, but you do have to reduce the fraction. So 6 over 22 would have been marked wrong. Or if it's an IXL, it's going to mark it wrong if you don't reduce the fraction. Now, I know some of y'all be getting all the way mad when you get real close to the number. You get that one wrong and you get knocked back down 10 points. Now, I know y'all get irritated. That's one of the reasons why it gets knocked up. Not reducing. Let's go ahead and part B. Find the probability that a student has a C or higher. So a C or higher means what grades could they have gotten? So they could have gotten a B, an A, a B, or a C. So you're looking for the number of A's, B's, and C's divided by the total number of students. We know that there's 22 students. How many A's, B's, and C's are there? 15. 6 plus 5 plus 4. 15. So is there anything that divides out of 15 and 22? No. 15 over 22 is your answer. So more than half the class has A, B, or C. All right, so find the probability that the student is currently failing the class. So number of F's over total number. So that's 3 out of 22. And that can't be reduced. Now, side note, this is not this class. I made those numbers up. This is not this class. I made those numbers up. If I was using this class, that's this class. A, B, C, D, F. Can you take your time? Yeah, that's exactly. Just saying. All right, last example. So this example is going to combine what we just did with what we probably going to combine probability and the statistics that we use. Dana's classmates recorded how many books they read last year. How many books they read last year. So, Dana read 60. Gabrielle read 60. Larry read 20. And you can do the rest of them. That's fine. So, 60, 60, 20. All the rest of them out. So, 100, 90, 50, 70, 80. Alright, so, for that paragraph, take a moment to do A, B, C, and D. Pause my recorder. So before we start answering the question, how many people are up here? 8 total people. There are 8 people represented. You're going to have to find the total number of people at some point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, find the probability that one person chosen read more than 50 books. So that's the number of people who read 50 divided by the total. So how many people read more than 50 books?
6.
So there's 6 people who read more than 50 books. 50 is not more than 50. So that means you cannot include many. Many is not included. So there's only 6 people who read more than 50 books. More than 50 books. 6 over 8, that's 3/4. It's always important to read what they're saying. It's just like when you read someone's text message, someone's Snapchat, or whatever the case may be. You better read what they said so you know exactly what they meant. Part B. Find a probability that one person chosen read less than 70 books. So you need the number of people who read less than 70 books. We already know the total number of people. We add those up on it. How many people read less than 70 books? 4. Anna, Gabby, Larry, Ken. Owen is not included. It said less than 70 books. Did not say equal to 70 books. So less than 70 books is 4. And that reduces. Make sure you reduce, otherwise IXL will treat you. Any questions on A or B? You want IXL to treat you? Be my guest. All right, part C. Find the probability that one person chosen read 150 books. So that's the number of people who read 150 books. How many people read 150 books?
0.
Nobody. So that's 0 out of 8, which is 0. 0. If you get a probability of 0, that just means it's not going to happen. Part D. Find the probability that one person chosen read at least 20 books. So number of people at least 20. So that means, at least means you can either read 20 or you read more than 20. That's everybody. That's all 8 people up there. 8 out of 8 is 1. So you are guaranteed to pick at least one person that read 20 books. You're guaranteed to pick one person who read 20 books. Any questions, parts A, B, C, and D? All right, let's take a couple minutes here. I'll give you a few more minutes using the same chart. Now do E, F, G, and H. Find the mean, median, mode, and range. So for those of you who are looking off of your screen, I'll keep the bar graph up there, but you're finding the mean, median, mode, and range for the number of books read. Give you 3 minutes to do that. All right, so what's the mean? So the mean is 60 plus 60 plus 20 plus 100 plus 90 plus 50 plus 70 plus 80. So what do we get when we add those up?
530.
About what?
530.
530 divided by 8, which is what?
66.25.
66.25. 66.
Oh wait, that's cool. That's.
Yeah, you give it as a decimal.
I didn't know you could get the decimal.
So 60, if the directions tell you to round to the nearest whole number, then you do it. If they don't, then
Staff is suited. I apologize for the disruption, but I have one brief announcement. This is a reminder for students who have been driving to school. Please remember that once you arrive at school and park your vehicle, you cannot drive between buildings during the school day. Students who drive between periods will lose their parking privilege. And as always, remember to make good choices and finish the year strong. Thank you, and have a great day.
all right, so median.
These two.
You better put these numbers in order first. So it's 20, 50, 260s, 70, 80, 90, 100. 90 and 100. And you start crossing off. Two numbers in the middle. 60 plus 70 divided by 2.
65.
Right, 65. So the middle number is 65. So, mode, is there any number that repeated?
60.
So, the mode is 60. So it twice. And then range is highest minus lowest. So 80 books. There's a difference of 80 books. One person who read a lot, one person who didn't read, barely read, compared to the person that read a lot. Any questions, E, F, G, and H?